Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are doing a 2 OCP build for the Focus Arrow Strike Ranger. This time we're utilizing the King Schmidt set with the Gorgon Helm, as well as the Nightmare Biolab headgear for the Ranger, the old Camouflage Bunny Hood with the old Detachments Ring, you know, just to get those critical damage bonuses, and I guess taking things up a notch from the last video, which was quite underwhelming just because it didn't have a lot of the reductions, a lot of the bonuses. At first, obviously, the old Camouflage Bunny Hood. We're not really going to look too much into the stats. You know, obviously, additional stats was 1 HP, SP, perfect dodge, long range damage was 1% per refined level. You know, it's plus 12%. But we're really gonna look into the combo with the old Detachments Ring for crit rate plus 7 and 70% critical damage. Now, for the enchants, we have acute level 5 here, critical damage plus 80%, crit plus 15, and we have the Angry Mantis card just for additional 2% critical damage. I mean, it's not a lot, but you know, 2% critical damage is 2%, I guess. Now, we also have the Gorgon Helm, you know, the first OCP of this build, but the old Detachments Ring is the one that actually combos with the old Camouflage Bunny Hood, another OCP. It doesn't do anything basically. It's more just there to get the bonuses. But you know, Gorgon Helm, obviously 10% damage, obstacle damage to, physical and magical damage to all size enemies plus 10%. When it's comboed with the suit, all stats plus 10, 7% reduction from players, immune to frozen. Comboed with the Mantu, you get another 10 stats, 6% reduction against players. Comboed with the Insignia Dex, because the luck. All stats plus 5, critical damage plus 10%, and 3% reduction from players. The player reduction doesn't really matter, to be fair, but you know. Now we have the King Schmidt suit, cannot be destroyed, 10% damage to medium and large monsters. At plus 7, you get 10% physical magical damage to fire and shadow monsters. At plus 9, you get minus 15% damage from dragon and formless. And at plus 11, you get 10% less damage from medium and large monsters. Now it's comboed with the Mantu, you know, the King Schmidt's Mantu. You get 5% SP and HP, and when both are at plus 22, thereby plus 11 both, you get 15% ACD reduction, which again is important for Focus Arrow Strike. Then we have the Angry Ninetail card here as well, 5% crit. 5 crit rate, 10% critical damage, additional plus 10 crit if the armor compounded is plus 10. Now we have the King Schmidt's Mantu, 2% shadow and fire property damage every 3 refines. Plus 7, you get 5% less damage from dragon and formless. And at plus 11, you get 15% more damage to dragon and formless monsters. Now we've got enchants on this as well. We got Fatal 1 3 times. Yeah, so crit plus 1 and 4% critical damage each. So that's up to crit plus 3, 12% crit damage. And we have the Galensis card, crit plus 2 per 10 base luck. And at 125 luck, that's additional 30% critical damage. It's fairly cheap now just because, you know, they've been dropping like crazy because people have been leveling in ME2. So, you know, easier to get. I think they're like 4 million right now. Then we have the Temporal Dex Boots. Doesn't really matter. The reason why we're going with the Temporal Dex Boots is the fact that, you know, it's at 120 Dex you get 0.5 second FCT reduction, which is what you need to lower the FCT reduction, the FCT for Focus Arrow Strike. We have EA4, 8% long range damage and speed of light. You'll understand later because, you know, obviously we're going to look at the insignia. But, yeah, we've got the speed of light enchant here, you know, additional agi. Doesn't really matter, to be fair, but, you know, the King Schmidt's insignia, 7% critical damage. This is the luck one. Combo with both the suit and the Mantu, you get attack plus 5%, critical damage plus 3%. You get Fatal 2, 6% critical damage, crit plus 2. And we have the Flash enchant. Basically, combo with the Speed of Light, you get additional 30% critical damage. And that's what we need, you know. And obviously the Ominous Heater card, because we can't afford the Void Mimic card. You know, crit plus 3, 5% critical damage. You know, it's a nice cheap option, you know, for the accessory card for crit. Now we have the Illusion Hunter Bow, 50% more damage for hunting arrow. Obviously we've tested that in the last video, it doesn't really matter. Crit plus 1 for every refine. Plus 7 you get 10% ACD reduction. Plus 9 you get 15% critical damage, and a plus 11 you get 30% more damage to insect and brute monsters. I mean, plus 9 is fine. You know, don't really have the boots, so I'm not really going to talk about that. But we have the Outnoe card here, critical damage plus 20%, because obviously we can't afford the PWM. If you know, other alternatives, probably the Sidora card, 15% critical damage, or maybe the paper, but the paper eats up SP, so I'd rather not use that. Now we have the Sparkling Stick, basically combos with a lot of Illusion Luanda weapons, being the Hunter's Bow, additional 30 crit for long range crit, plus 7 you get 10% critical damage, 1 second CD reduction for aim bolt. At plus 9 you get 35% more damage for both aim bolt and focus arrow strike, and at plus 11 you get 10% VCT reduction. Again, plus 9 is enough. Yeah, plus 11 is good, but like plus 9 is good enough, right? So let's sort of I'm going to show you how the build works, and you know, I mean in terms of damage, you know, just so you compare from the last video, I guess. All right, egg time. We're not going to do hunting arrow because obviously we've seen that in the last video. It doesn't really matter as much. So we're doing about 1.265 million for focus arrow strike. That's actually pretty good. Okay, next the fire egg with the crystal arrow, of course. 1.5 million. And you notice there's no cast bar, you know, because we've already got VCD sorted from the bonuses. Yeah, that's good. So there you have it, guys. 2 OCP build for focus arrow strike. I gotta say, definitely better results than the previous video. About twice as much damage. I think really the difference as well is the old Camouflage Bunny Hood with the Acute 5 and the old Detachments Ring, because that brings a lot of critical damage, up to 150% critical damage just between those two with the combo. I just didn't really use the old Camouflage Bunny Hood in the last video just because, you know, obviously without the acute enchant it's not really getting, you know, it's I mean you can probably, but only the acute enchant would have it. But I just really needed to sort of I guess prove a point, you know, of how effective this thing is, you know, as a whole with the old Detachments Ring. So yeah, I hope this gives you an idea. You know, again, it can be interchangeable. Next week we'll have the 1 OCP builds, and you know, it's gonna be different. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time.